So you've got some questions, but let's learn a little bit more about how these interviews, how to think about and structure the interviews. I'm gonna have a couple helpers come up and do a little role playing here with this. And some applause for our volunteers, please. So what we're gonna do here is do a little bit of role playing around these interviews. Beck, you're gonna be asking the questions, right? Hannah, you're going to be playing the role of a potential customer, potential prospect. So we understand our roles here. I'll let them do kind of the interview here, and then I'll say time out. And what I'll do is I'll break in and kind of do the color commentary on what I'm observing. And then I'll say time in, and then we'll kind of go back into role playing. So we've got a couple of trained improv artists here, so I think we'll be good. All right, so time in.
So don't you think that prefab homes would be a great way to go on this land?
I don't know if I know enough about what a prefab home is, but maybe.
Well, but wouldn't it be great if like your house came more complete than if you had to find all the pieces yourself?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds nice.
All right, let's do time out here. So on those last two questions, really good leading questions. So the challenge here is, so Hannah was sort of following along, and if you have a reality distortion field, which is really like you're bought in on the fact that this is a problem, I heard Hannah being nice, which is like, oh yeah, that's kind of an issue maybe. And it's super easy for Beck to think, oh, I'm onto something. Finally, I'm talking to somebody who needs what I'm selling. Confirmation. Off we go. And this is the danger in doing these really biased interview tactics, is that it's super easy for you to hear, yeah, that sounds reasonable, with, oh, strong signal, we are on to something now. So that's the danger. All right, so now let's shift gears a little bit, and now we'll role play a little bit of a different style, which is much more of an open kind of story-provoking, this place where we're not able to confuse ourselves with some signal with positive signal. So time in.
So tell me more about the vision. Like, what do you think it'll be like?
My future house?
Your future house, on land with the garden.
Well, I always had a dream to have like friends or family nearby, so maybe sharing land or having different plots with kind of like more of community style, so not totally alone, but we could share like a garden or something. I'm really into simplicity, and so I just picture it very peaceful and simple.
That's so cool. I have a really similar dream. I love the idea of living with family and friends nearby. But do you know who would be there, or do you think it just kind of, how will it work? Who's going to join you?
Well, that's where it gets like more complicated. There's definitely some buy-in. I have lots of friends that are like, yeah, I'm into that too, but I don't believe how into it they are, because it's kind of a big commitment to live near or with someone. So I don't really know that part.
What does simple mean to you, if you don't mind telling me? Like, what does it look like?
No clutter. Kind of just surrounding myself with things that bring me joy. Lots of light and plants.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you see the property in your mind? Do you know what it looks like?
Yeah, there's lots of trees and grass and maybe like a stream going through.
So what keeps you from making this vision a reality?
I don't know how to get from like here to there. I'm really afraid of, one, like permits. Like I live in Boulder County, and it's just like, I feel like everything's not allowed. Like you just can't do what you want to do. So that seems really overwhelming to navigate that.
Cool, let's do a timeout here. All right, what did you notice at the very beginning there? I heard a pretty open question that kind of would elicit a story. The next part was really powerful. This sort of confirmation, the connection, the empathy, building rapport of like, oh yeah, I've experienced that too. I relate to you. So that sense of connecting there, then followed by another really crisp, open-ended question to tell a story. So notice the difference there between the first ones, which were very leading, of, hey, would you like a house with that? To these, which are much more about, tell me a story, what's going on around your world. The other piece that was powerful in there is there was some inquiry around the functional elements of a home. There was inquiry around the social elements of a home and living, the dynamics around that. And then finally, some inquiry around the emotion of it. So what's going on at the functional surface, which those of us who are engineers, it's super easy for us to just get stuck at the functional surface level. But this one went down into the social component and then all the way down into the emotional component. So a really powerful way to traverse that, all the while building empathy, building connection, building a sense of rapport with each question. The other thing that I heard that I thought was pretty powerful was ask a question, and then Beck was completely silent. There was head nodding, there was that notion of eye contact and connection, but there was no sort of breaking in, like, I'm already done with what you're saying, I'm ready, I got the next question loaded up, I'm ready to go. So give space. It's the hardest thing when you do these interviews, is to give space for the person to answer, and then give a little bit of space for awkward silence. Because in that awkward silence is often where you'll get a little extra nugget of what's going on for the person. Thank you so much for doing the role playing, really appreciate it.